The Kong Show and Japan Today present movie reviews for films opening this weekend. If you're here in Japan thinking about a movie this coming weekend, or if you're in another country thinking about renting a DVD, you'll want to listen as we have some very critical reviews by Metropolis film critic Don Morton. Where are we catching you this week, Don?
This week I'm in Calistoga at the north end of Napa Valley in wine country.
All right, what movies will you be reviewing this week?
We have Annie, the remake, Big Eyes, Still Life, and finally, What We Do in the Shadows.
All right, let's get right to it. The first movie is called Annie. I assume this is the movie adapted from the musical that was adapted from the comic strip.
That's right, and a lot of people are upset about the changes made in this updated version. I mean, the most obvious of which is the two principals are black, Jamie Foxx and Kuvanjane Wallace, but so what? I mean, they do okay. And it's updated from the Depression era, which makes it kind of even more irrelevant than it already is. And there's a helicopter chase in it. I mean, seriously, a helicopter chase? I mean, the singing is lame, the dancing is perfunctory, so it's pretty bad, but the original was pretty bad to begin with.
Now, I heard Cameron Diaz is in this movie. How'd she do?
Oh, yeah, she is. I don't think she'll be putting this on her filmography. She mugs her way through her role.
Ooh.
With just moronically, she's fingernails on a blackboard. Terrible. She's the foster mother of Annie at the beginning of the movie.
Cameron Diaz, fingernails on the blackboard?
Oh, yeah. I mean, don't go see this movie. It's not worth it. It tries too hard, it fails too frequently, and it never rises above adequate family entertainment.
By the way, do they do that song, Tomorrow, Tomorrow?
Moving on to the next movie.
The sun will come out tomorrow.
Didn't Annie have big eyes?
I think she had kind of blank eyes in the comic strip, didn't she?
Yeah, that's right. She did have blank eyes. But speaking of big eyes, that's your next movie. Is this the right poster?
No.
Okay, hold on. How about this one?
That's not it. No.
Is this the big eyes you're talking about?
Come on.
Okay, one more try. Let me try this one.
No. Come on.
All right, here's the right poster. Big Eyes, what's up with this movie?
Well, as you see in this poster, this is about those paintings that were a craze in the art world back in the 60s. Walter Keane was the painter of these schlocky portraits and that had a big deal in the art world for a while. Well, Keane was a major artist, to be sure, but he was a con artist because he never painted anything in his life.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that's what this movie is about. His wife, Margaret, did all the painting, and he had her convinced that art made by women wouldn't sell, so he took credit for all her artwork. Walter is played by Christoph Waltz as another excellent performance, and Amy Adams plays the wife. It's a restrained for a Tim Burton film, but it's topped off by a rousing courtroom scene that makes it all kind of a lot of fun. It's interesting.
You said it was a Tim Burton film?
It is, but it's pretty straightforward.
Is this a movie for a married couple?
Why not?
Date movie?
Sure.
Moving on to the next movie, I understand it's about art as well. It's called Still Life.
No, it's not about art. It's about a fellow whose job it is in England. He's a council worker. His job it is to locate friends and family of people who have died alone and abandoned.
Oh.
Eddie Marsan plays this character. He was an underrated character actor. He played Inspector Lestrade in the Sherlock Holmes movies, but he's perfectly cast as an asocial, obsessively organized council worker. He cares about the people whose files pass through his office. And when he's abruptly downsized, he decides to make extra efforts on his last case, and he finds a new world opening up. There's an out-of-the-blue ending that packs an emotional wallop. This is for grown-up people.
All right, moving on to the next movie. I understand it's a comedy thriller titled What We Do in the Shadows.
Horror comedy.
Horror comedy, okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of a tricky thing to do if you've ever seen any of the Scary Movie movies. It's hilarious. It's a very offbeat comedy about a couple of Kiwi musicians trying to make it in, I think, Toronto. It's about a quartet of vampires from various epochs in the past dealing with life in the 20th century in a Wellington apartment. It opens up with a testy flat meeting in which it's being discussed whose turn it is to do the, quote, bloody dishes. This is the most laugh-out-loud funny mockumentary I've seen since This Is Spinal Tap. It's basically a series of set pieces of skits, and they're all linked together, but the structure suits the material perfectly. There's a rival polite Will Pack suggestion on how to avoid bloodstains on the sofa when having a date for dinner. Nudge, nudge. Wink, wink. Getting past nightclub bouncers into clubs is difficult because, of course, vampires have to be asked in. This is clearly not Twilight, but it's a hoot. This is a lot of fun, this movie.
Did you laugh out loud?
I laugh out loud and continuously.
Can you give us a little sample of your out loud laughter?
Well, I'm kind of a Mr. Natural kind of laugher.
Sample, please. That's it?
That's it.
Any boo moments in this movie?
Well, yeah, there's a few boo moments. It's a vampire movie, and there's a little bit of blood and guts, but not too much. It's not gratuitous. I like this film a lot. Matter of fact, I watched it again later today.
Date movie?
Sure.
How should one prepare oneself for going to this movie?
Nice cold glass of blood.
All right. The world has been talking about this Sony picture called The Interview. Have you had a chance to see it, and would you like to comment on it?
I finally saw it 2 days ago in Alameda, and let me tell you, people, if you're curious about what all the fuss was about, do not go see this movie. This is a terribly written, terribly acted, terribly conceived, fart jokes, poop jokes, other bodily function jokes. It is a terrible, terrible, lazy movie that got very lucky.
Don't mince words, Don. Are you saying that you didn't like this movie?
Well, for Christ's sake, it's James Franco doing comedy. When James Franco does comedy, he's 3 times as irritating as he is when he's doing drama. It's just terrible time at the movies. Do not go see this movie. Suppress your curiosity. There's nothing to see here, folks.
So I'm taking it that you're saying miss this movie?
Miss it as many times as you can.
Thank you, Don Morton. You appear courtesy of Metropolis Magazine, where you can read all of his reviews. Movie Reviews with Don Morton here on The Kong Show on the Japan Today website and on Insight Online Magazine. Thank you, Don.
You're welcome, Kong.